Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's Jay Ayyo. So today we are going to be talking about boxing match between Walton and Anthony Mora. So interesting thing, we're diving a little bit into something new. So basically, we have Javon Walton, whose stage name is Warner Walton when he's boxing. So he is pretty much a 19-year-old guy that does boxing, but he also does acting. So he's acted in Euphoria, he's acted in the Umbrella Academy, Samaritan, Utopia, just to name a couple of the projects that he has done. But interestingly, he's only 19 years old. Now he is a fraternal twin, meaning he has another twin, but they're not identical. I found it really interesting to bring up the case simply because, one, boxing is, a type of sport which is impact. A lot of impact happens, a lot of punches, a lot of jabs, but it's someone that's, in particular, Warner is doing this at like 19. He's been boxing since he's been 4 years old. His family does boxing as well. His father coaches him tremendously. He has a record of 2 wins, 1 knockout, and 1 draw. And basically, the match he did yesterday on September the 27th in Quebec, he did that match against someone who is like 35 years older than him, which is really impressive because he went up against, Anthony Mora, and Anthony Mora is at least 15, 16 years older than him. And with the match he did yesterday, he went 6 rounds. So usually there's rounds that happen when you do boxing at the end of the day. I think before yesterday, he had only gone to 4 rounds. And it was interesting because I had seen one on social media, and I was like, oh, this seems very interesting, just getting into, I guess, the mindset of preparing for a boxing match, looking at the preparation that you have to go mentally, you have to watch your diet. He's a 5'8", I believe, and he weighed in at about 135 pounds, which for 5'8", that really is slim. But in terms of boxing matches or preparing to box, you have to go in with certain conditions. So there's certain clauses that when you're boxing, you could put forward in terms of an agreement with the other person that you're boxing with to say, okay, you can't drink water for 24 hours. You pretty much could put anything in the contract in terms of what you don't want your opponent to do, because the whole premise of boxing is that you really want to outdo your opponent. You don't want to give your opponent any advantage. So with the wins that Warner has gotten so far, and these have more or less been spread out, but nonetheless, he would have had to do a lot of training, mentally, physically, as well, to maintain one physique, to maintain the weighing in. I was able to get a clip of a little bit of the boxing, but sometimes I don't really like to clip things because that can get me like huge amounts of trouble. I was unable to stream it yesterday because I had another event to go to, but I'll put in some clips here.
The first thing that jumped out was his creativity, his offensive creativity, and you're seeing that flow from Walton already here in the opening round.
And I agree, Donito.
In what I've seen so far, Warner being so young, such as 19 years old, he comes with a lot of experiences. He has done amateur boxing as well, so he's been able to grow in his level of experience on what he needs to do, what he needs to work on. I think his takeaway from it, because I watched a couple of the clips of the match that he won, and he had basically said that though he had won the match, it was a decision match, which basically means that you have three judges watching the punches and the jabs that are going. When he won his match, and his analysis of the match was basically that even though he was able to do 6 rounds, there were certain jabs that he allowed from his opponent to get in, which kind of wore him down a bit. And bear in mind, each round is about good couple of minutes, and so when you're also being boxed down immensely, it does take a lot on your body, and you have to be monitoring your technique, your rhythm, looking for opportunities. You don't want to be more or less blindsided that a jab hits you and you're like, where did this come from? Did this come from out of nowhere? So whilst you're in the boxing ring and you're watching your opponent, you have to watch how your opponent moves. What are the trends? What is your coach telling you at the end of the day? What am I not seeing? Is there an opportunity? So he basically said more or less that he learned a lot. Yes, he got a win. You know, he gave God thanks for the win that he got, and he was really appreciative, and you could see his ability in wanting to learn more about the art of boxing. It is there. He seems very eager to learn more and more about boxing, and his attitude, it wasn't one that came across as, he wants to know everything or he's a know-it-all, but it comes across more as like, someone who's humble about boxing, and someone that is respectful. And I think you don't tend to see a lot of that when it comes to boxing, because boxing is all surrounded by the ego and the showmanship that you're able to bring forth, and it's about selling tickets and selling views at the end of the day. And he seems to have it down pat, and I think he will be one of those names to watch, because he's a rising star. His dad did boxing as well. His dad is the one that has been coaching him as well, and he being one is represented by Most Valuable Promotions, which is a boxing group or boxing team that I guess does boxing matches for individuals under their house. So the thing is, in all, there was a lot of excitement going on. He was able to get in some jabs against Anthony Mora. Anthony Mora did give him a punch in the lower abdomen area. It seemed as if like it was what we would say not an undercut, but like when it's below the belt type of box, there's like certain restrictions, or that usually isn't allowed. So I think Warner took a lot from it, and I ultimately believe that it was a good match, because I was just watching the highlights the whole time. And so though I would have loved to have seen the live boxing match, I know there will be a couple more boxing matches to come up in the future. But bottom line is, guys, I wanted to introduce Javon Warner Walton, stage name Warner, to you all, just to get a little bit of introduction, shake things up a little bit. Everything can't just be about drama. We have to switch it up and make it make it fun. Everything can't be about pure excitement, guys. That's one thing I'm not going to do, and I'm being very cognizant, because it does get a little stale always doing the excitement and stuff. And the teachable lesson in this is that no matter your age, your size, or where you're coming from, as long as you have a goal that you want to achieve and you want to go after, you can always accomplish it. And that is the key takeaway with Warner as to how he chose his name, because with Warner using the name, or Javon Walton using Warner, he would always tell his dad, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. And he decided to go with the stage name of Warner. So guys, don't forget to like, comment, and share, and I'll see you in the next video.